Hi guys, and welcome to my review of issue 27 of Mortal Realm. In this review we're going to be looking at the models and the plastic as usual. Let's get straight to the plastic. The plastic arriving with issue 27 is the Storm Sire Curse Breakers. They're pretty cool. They're one of the units available for I believe it's Underground, but I'm not sure. Warhammer Underworlds. Yep. Having a quick look at them, the plastic is fantastic, as we've come to expect from GW. You've got 3 figures with these issues. Let's have a look. 2 of them armed with the swords and the magic thwacky sticks, as they were. One of them armed with the great sword, the great weapon. I'm just going to quickly check what the name of that is for you guys. Storm Sire Curse Breakers. Where we go. Tempest Blades and Storm Staves. So we've got 2 of them being armed with Tempest Blades and Storm Staves, and one of them being armed with a Storm Staff by the looks of it. Where are we? Which is obviously the big one. So that's pretty good. Which gives you a sort of a variance. You can use the ability. You can use either one in the unit. All of these are coming with their own bases that they slot on, which I always prefer because they're stronger, or rather they slot into. They've got tabs. Yeah, I mean, these are fairly solid guys. They're going to look pretty amazing when they're painted. And where they count as wizards and the like. So I'm just looking for the unit that has 2. Where are we? Yeah, I'm just breaking down the unit. So we've got 2 of the Storm Sire Curse Breakers, and we've got 1 character here, which is Averon Stormshire, and he's armed with an Incanter's staff, which we'll go into later. Sorry, just wanted to check what the actual specifics on these were, because I was aware they were different. So you've got 3 more badasses to go into your army that will work with pretty much anything else. Yeah, they're pretty fantastic. The copyright on them is 2018, so they are one of the newer models. So that's pretty awesome. Let's get on with the magazine and see what we have. Okay. First off, there's a little bit of paper falling out, apologising for getting. You will have received slotted bases when you should have received unslotted bases. As a means of rectifying this, we have provided replacement bases as detailed below. Issue 17 replacement bases included with issue 21. Issue 21 replacement bases included with issue 27. Okay, that explains why we've got 5 bases in this thing, which isn't actually a problem for me because I have a ton of bases and I already noticed and rectified the problem. Well, I say noticed and rectified. I looked at putting them on blank slotter bases, putting guys who didn't belong on slotter bases on slotter bases, and thought, well, I'm not going to do that. I've got loads of spare bases anyway, so I'll replace them. So that's pretty cool. Okay, let's get into the Mortal Realms magazine itself. On page 1, as always, signed by our very own Cursebreaker Ian. And obviously the contents page. Then we've got some pretty fantastic artwork here, which has the Curse Breakers just having lightning running up and down their running up and down their weapons, which I assume they're going to bash people with. It's got a basic brief bit here. Led by Averon Stormsire. Oh, Stormsire, not Stormshire. The Cursebreakers are fearless warriors and powerful wizards, each one of whom can wield storm magic. With a name like Stormsire's Cursebreakers, you'd expect that. They very much got on with a storm theme in the names for all these guys. It then goes on to describe Stormstar's Curse Breakers. I'm not going to go into too much detail because obviously I don't want to ruin it for any of you guys who are getting the magazine. They're a trio of battle mages from the Hammers of Sigmar. They specialise in mighty storm magic, lifting curses and breaking enchantments. Hence the term Curse Breakers, I guess. Their leader, Averon Stormsire, is a knight incanter, and he is renowned for his knowledge of the reforging process. He has long considered it his duty to find a solution to the various side effects. So basically you've got a lightning shooting, heavily armoured mad scientist here. So that's pretty cool. And as I say, I'll leave the rest for you guys to read because I don't want to ruin the entire magazine for you. Next we've got an Arcane Triumpha, which is basic description of the three guys. You have basically three named characters here. Although two of them do function as basic as basic troop types. You've got Amaris Dawnguard. Amaris Dawnguard is an evocator who served alongside Averon Stormstar for many years. Sees it as her duty to bring the spirits of fallen heroes to their rightful place at Sigmar's side. Next, we've got Rastus the Charmed. Rastus was chosen by Stormsire for his natural prowess and for his martial prowess and magical talent. He's an evocator armed with both Tempest Blade and Stormstave. Along with Amaris Dawnguard, he can channel the power of the storms. Then finally, you've got Averon Stormsire. As a knight incanter, Averon Stormsire has seen many failed reforgings, witnessed their terrible side effects firsthand. He hopes that somewhere in the shattered ruins of Shadespire, he'll be able to find a way to combat them. So this is that pretty much confirms this is part of the Underworld Shadespire range of models. However, they are all supplied with rules, so you can use them in standard Age of Sigmar as well, which is pretty cool. I'm not going to go too much of that. Next, we've got the introduction of the Ossiarch Bone Reapers, which are the newest models, the newest army of Nagash. They're kind of almost Tyranidy, just because they're made from bone and chitin on the outside. Well, they're made from bone and they look kind of chitinous from the outside. They all sort of, if you're familiar with the Chronicles of Riddick film, not the best film in the world, but certainly not an awful waste of your time. They do kind of resemble some of the guys from there in their weird armour. Basically, what these guys are is kind of Frankenstein's monsters kind of issues. They've been Frankenstein together out of the dead bodies of all the best warriors, have loads of warriors, to create basically undead super soldiers, and their souls are the same. They've torn souls apart and grafted souls together to make this amazing elite army. They're not the endless undead that you're used to from the other armies. These guys are much more elite. They do rebuild their numbers at the end of every battle the same way other undead do well, not the same way, but a similar way, by tearing undead apart and putting them back together rather than raising undead. So they do get stronger the more battles they fight in theory. But it's not the simple case of everything they kill gets raised to march with them, and that they are not the endless armies of undead that you expect from the Scarabs and Hordes and stuff like that. I'm going to read the little bit here. It says, the Ossiarch Bone Reapers are Nagash's will given form. Created from the bones and souls of the dead, they are tireless and without pity. And they are led by generals created by Nagash himself. There's one general that isn't an amalgam, and he's like the head of the Ossiarch Bone Reapers. But the rest of the generals, again, they're super generals in the same way that the troops are super soldiers, in that he's taken what he believes to be the best parts of every general and put them all together to create super generals and that. Again, I'm not going to read too much of it here, just to give you a bit of a taste. All of Nagash's undead creations and followers are bound to the great necromancer and forced to undertake his bidding. Most are mere husks, soulless servants unable to think for themselves. The Ossiarch Bone Reapers are something entirely different. They are an army of skeletal warriors, the majority of whom are capable of speech and independent thought. They were created to act without the consent or oversight of Nagash and are trusted to fight wars on 100 fronts at once. The Ossiarch Bone Reapers lay hidden through the age of chaos and the Roman wars, secured away inside grand mausoleums and colossal necropolises. Basically, because these guys have been made from him, he trusts them because he's built them like in the same way you build a robot. You can give it intelligence, but at the same point you can put in rules there that will, cable there. You can put in rules there that mean they can't disobey, because they can't disobey the way they were made. He can build in loyalty. It's one of the few people he trusts to work independently. Next it goes into Soul Animus. Each Ossiarch Bone Reaper is powered by the souls of the dead. The desirable parts of different souls are fused together, giving a Bone Reaper all the mental traits required to make them a deadly warrior. So that's really cool. Next you've got Orphean Catacross, who's the general I was telling you about. Catacross was once a great mortal general, utterly obsessed with the mastery of warfare, who traded his soul to Nagash and was named Mortarch of the Necropolis during the Age of Chaos. Catacross was captured by Sigmar and locked in the storm vault beneath the city of Lethis. The earthquake revealed the storm vaults to Nagash, who dispatched Lady Orlando to free Catacross so that he could lead the Bone Reapers. Then we've got the Bone Tithe. In addition to harvesting skeletons of the fallen, the Ossiarch Bone Reapers demand a bone tithe from all they encounter. Should a city or nation fail to provide the tithe, they will soon find the Bone Reaper army at their gates. That's actually got a lot of historical precedent. If you're unaware, the Vikings used to demand something called Danegeld, which, in order to, in payment for not attacking you and killing you, you had to basically give them money. Now, this sounds a bit silly, because you think, well, they're going to get stronger and stronger and attack you, and you're right. But being as they were going to attack you anyway, a lot of kingdoms and cities and the like traded this gold for what they hoped was time for the Vikings to either be beaten and destroyed by somebody else, or for them to get enough strength up so they could beat and destroy the Vikings themselves. It was a trade-off, and to be honest, as you imagine, it often didn't work because the Vikings were badasses and they got stronger. And again, they used the gold to buy more weaponry. They used the fact they had more money and more wealth to attract more Viking followers, and so on and so forth, until the kingdoms that they were blackmailing had to fight them. And those kingdoms didn't always win. As a matter of fact, a lot of the time they lost. So you can see the historical parallel here, and you can imagine that something similar is probably going to happen in the Age of Sigmar. You're going to find that because the Bone Reapers are demanding a bone tithe, they're going to get stronger and stronger without losing forces. And obviously, when they attack people successfully, they're getting stronger. They're probably going to gain more than they lose, because that's the point of them. So eventually they're going to get to a point where the bone tithe is unmeetable, and they're just going to wipe out and destroy those towns and villages. But throughout that time, they'll have gotten stronger and stronger and stronger, with more villagers paying the bone tithe, so that by the time they encounter something like a city of Sigmar, their army is big enough to take on the Stormcast Eternals and win, possibly. It makes them quite a dangerous foe, and something I'd imagine that you want to hit as soon as you can. Like most undead armies, you don't want to leave it to build up size. Same as Autry. Next, we've got the Mortal Realms. Another explanation of what the Mortal Realms are. I'll just read the blurb bit. Existing in a cosmos of pure magic, the mortal realms are so vast that not even the gods themselves can claim to have explored them in all their glory. Sorry, I'm trying weird voices. They're all vastly different, and yet they are bound together by laws of reality that are almost impossible to break. Worth knowing they're not our laws of reality, somebody else's. It's got a brief description here, describing that they were formed long ago in the ether of the cosmos. It's also got a little box describing the realm spheres. When the 8 types of magic gathered separately in the etheric void, they created orbs known as the realm spheres. Each of the mortal realms lies within one of these gigantic magic bubbles. Within these spheres lie great continents, islands, and sub-realms that make up each of the 8 mortal realms, all floating within the realm sphere's gaseous whirl. Yep. So that's pretty cool. And that is why they're kind of sometimes shown as planet-like spheres floating around. It's worth noting that the realm gates that allow transport are more like kind of, if you're familiar with the stargates or wormhole theories, they're more like the ends of wormholes. You step into one and then magically you step out the other side, out of another one, and you move from one realm to another. And where these realms connect, there is some effect, but none of the realms are actually touching or overlapping, or at least not at this point. I assume at some point some mental wizard's going to try that. But each realm is completely separate, and the realm gates aren't at the edges of realms or at the edges of these void spheres. They're anywhere in realm spheres. They're anywhere in these realm spheres. You could have a gate in the center that leads to the edge. You could have a gate in the center of Giran that leads to the edge of Shyish, and one in the boonies of Shyish that then leads to Azir. And you'll see kind of effects around these gates from the other realms, but the realms are distinctly separate still. It then goes on to have continues to describe the realms, and we've got a brief description of Giran, Azir, and Shyish. Obviously, Giran was formed within a realm of life magic, Azir in a realm of heavenly energy, and Shyish in a realm of death magic. So you've got all those bits to describe, and the descriptions are quite cool. So again, I'm not going to spoil it for you by reading them all. Next, we've got the how to build with the clipper safety, just in case we accidentally slip and take off our arm. Obviously, the how to builds are fairly simple and straightforward. These models only go together in one way, so you're probably not going to massively need to use the how to builds, but they're there if you need them. And if you want to do I always think doing a dry fitting is the best thing, because these guys pop together and pop apart. Do a dry fitting, make sure they fit together, and then you can pop them back apart. If they're a bit too tight, you can either leave them, or you can just use the edge of a craft knife just to wiggle it out a bit so you can get it open and put glue in. But these models go together beautifully. Again, we've got how to paint the Stormshire Curse Breakers, which obviously we expect. The paints they're suggesting in this one are Reichland Flesh Shade, Agrax Earth Shade, Retributor Armour, Stormhost Silver, Corax White, Cantor Blue, Abaddon Black, Lead Belcher, Corn Red, Mephiston Red, and Rakarth Flesh, which are all colours we've had in previous issues. As always, they're suggesting base coating them, and they're also going through focus shading here, which is basically when you take a shade and you only put it on a specific part of it. In this one, they're suggesting shading the red plumes and the gold with different colours, which is fair enough. They're going through all the different bases, and they're giving you quite a complete example of how to paint them up to the standard that we've reached at the moment. There's quite a few pages here, just about 3 or 4 pages, and then you've got the finished models, which got everything painted except the helms. Okay, next up we have the war scrolls for them. I'll quickly go through this because we haven't had these guys before. We've got Averon Stormshire, who has 5 wounds, 5-inch movement, 3+ save and 9 bravery, wielding the Incanter Staff, which has a 2-inch range, 3 attacks, a 3+ to hit and a 3+ to wound, which is standard for most Stormcast Eternal weaponry, and -1 rend and a D3 damage. So with 3 attacks and D3 damage, if you're lucky, you've got a possibility of 9 wounds there. Averon is a named character. There's a single model, and he's on the Incanter Staff. Abilities: he has a Spirit Flask. He can smash the field Spirit Flasks they carry, 9 incanters, causing a deadly explosion of soul energy. He can choose once per battle to shatter 1, 2, or 3 of them, based on based on how much damage you want to do and how much risk you want to take, because shattering them does affect you and the units around you as well as the enemy. Each model within 3 inches of this model suffers 1 mortal wound. He has 5 wounds, so he can cause 3 wounds and survive. It's a 3-inch sphere. Units within 3 inches with 10 or more models suffer D3 mortal wounds for each spirit flask that was shattered. So again, you can cause a lot of damage as long as you're willing to take a lot of damage yourself. The character's got 5 wounds, so he will survive it. However, the characters around you and the units around you might not be so lucky. So it is a thing where you've got to be careful. And then you've got the Void Storm Scroll. Each night encounter bears this scroll. Once per battle, the model can attempt to unbind a spell. Instead of making an unbinding, you can say this model is using his Void Storm Scroll, and you can automatically unbind spells. Those are really, really useful. I can't stress how useful it is having a couple of those in your arsenal. It does kind of mean that you might want to hold Averon into slightly safer positions if you're going up against more devastatingly magical armies until you've used your storm, until you've used your Void Storm spell, and just because they're not that common, but the right spell in the right place can do immense damage, and being able to just go, no, that's not happening, is incredibly, incredibly useful. Whilst you can try and cancel spells normally, there is no guarantee, whereas with this there is. Also, he's a wizard. He can attempt to cast 1 spell in his hero phase and unbind 1 spell in the enemy phase. Obviously, that goes through the standard rules. So he could win, he could fail, or he could cast, when he could fail to cast, or he could unblind, and so on and so forth. Next, we've got the Stormsire spell. Stormsire has a casting value of 7. Each enemy unit with 18 of the caster suffers 1 mortal wound. Enemies within 6 inches of the caster suffer D3 mortal wounds instead. So you combine that with the Spirit Flask, you've got a very hefty way of just killing things, of just throwing out a ton of death that, you know, that's almost unstoppable in its rampage. I'm going to like him. Next, we've got the Stormsire's Cursebreakers. They have 3 wounds, move of 5, save of 4+, and a bravery of 8. So they're fairly solid. The Tempest Blade and the Storm Staves have which basically count as 1 weapon, have a range of 1, have 5 attacks, which is cool. The standard 3+ to hit and 3+ to wound. Rend of -1 and 1 damage. So you've got a potential of 5 damage there, but you are missing that extra little range. Obviously, I'll try again. The Storm-sized Cursebreakers is a unit of 2 models, each armed with a Tempest Blade. So this is done as a separate unit. They are also evocators, so if you're building a unit of evocators and you needed some extra ones, they will work as evocators as well. So I imagine you can use them with your Evocator Prime or with Stormsire, whichever you actually want. They've got abilities. Blessed Banishment. They can re-roll hits of 1 for attacks made by this unit that target chaos or death. So that gives you an idea of what they're for. Celestial Lightning Arc. You can re-roll saves of 1 for attacks made with missile weapons that target this unit. So basically, they've got magical protection. Weirdly enough, Stormsire doesn't, despite being kind of an evocator himself. Oh well. Let's have a look. Magic. This unit is a wizard while it has 2 models, so that's cool. It can attempt to cast 1 spell per hero phase and unbind 1 spell in the enemy hero phase. Let's have a look. They can cast Empower. When gathered in enough numbers, evocators can empower themselves or their comrades. And Empower has a casting level of 6. If successfully cast, pick a friendly, redeemer, or sacrosanct unit wholly within 12 of the caster. Until your next hero phase, you can reroll failed wounds for attacks made against that unit. Sorry, reroll failed wounds for attacks made by that unit. So that's pretty cool. That's a bit weird. It says in the description, when gathered in enough numbers, evocators can empower themselves or their comrades. But then it says you can cast Friendly Redeemer or Sacrosanct. You can pick a Friendly Redeemer or Sacrosanct unit. They are neither Redeemers nor Sacrosancts. They're evocators, so they can't empower themselves. That's weird. Okay, fair enough. As you expect, they've got all the standard keywords: Order, Celestial, Human, Stormcast, Eternal, Hammers of Sigmar, Sacrosanct, Corpuscant, Wizard, Evocators, Storm Sires, Cursebreakers. And obviously, if you're oh, they have the keyword Sacrosanct. Yeah, so they are Sacrosanct units. Okay, fair enough. So they can empower themselves. And obviously, as you're aware, if you're using them, if you're painting them up and using them for just evocators or in another army, most people will allow you to take the Hammers of Sigmar keywords and replace it with, the Shields of Gira or whatever Storm Host you're actually using. Most people won't care. You can argue them as accounts as, so that's pretty cool, although technically they should only be working for that specific unit because they are specific characters. We've got the breakdown. Next, we've got the breakdown of their abilities, which I won't read because it's literally the thing that I just read. And following that, we have Mermon Banshees, Wounds 1, Move 8, 4+ Save, Bravery 10. The weapons they have are the Chill Dagger, which has a range of 1 inch, 1 attack, +4 to hit, +4 to wound, which is what we're seeing as standard with a lot of these undead characters. Rend 2, which is nasty and a damage 3. So you can do up to 6 potential wounds there, although you've got less potential than the previous guys to actually manage it. The unit can fly, obviously. They're ethereal, so they're not affected by any modifiers, positive or negative, to their armor. They're spell eaters. As the Mermon Banshees were once wizards, if this unit is within 18 of an enemy wizard that successfully casts a spell, the unit can attempt to unbind the spell in the same manner as a wizard. If it does so, add 1 to the unbinding roll for every 4 models in this unit, which, being as the army these guys come with is very much, the Nighthaunt army is still very much a horde army, you can really throw a lot of stuff in there. In one of each of your hero phrases, if this unit is within 6 of an endless spell, this unit can attempt to dispel the endless spell in the same manner as a wizard. If this unit dispels an endless spell, it suffers D3 mortal wounds, but adds 1 to the attack characteristic of this unit's Chill Daggers until your next phase. So you're losing guys, but you're getting more attacks, which in the beginning is probably going to make you a lot stronger because you're not adding 1 attack to the unit, you're adding 1 to the Chill Daggers characteristic. So everybody using that Chill Dagger is going to get a wound. As the unit gets smaller, you're going to have to really do the math on that trade-off and see whether or not it's worth dispelling a spell to get those extra wounds, or whether you just want to leave it alone and hope that it doesn't damage you. Obviously, they've got the standard keywords: Death, Malignant, Nighthaunt, Summonable, and Mermon Banshees. They do not have the keyword Wizard, because whilst they were once wizards in life, they are not anymore. So they're not affected by anything that affects wizards, but they can do a lot of the wizard's stuff. Okay, and again on the next page, we've got those abilities broken down. Next, we have The Scouring, which is a nice little story. With the crumbling ruins of Hollowstone Hole now firmly under the control of the Lord Arcanum, Glory Mantle and his sacrosanct chamber, the time has come to finalise the Stormcast Eternal's hold upon the region. That's a nice little story there, just to get you prepped for the battle you're having next, which is using the standard battle mat and the scenery we got last week. What else have we got? Obviously you need your battle mat, your dice and your tokens for this. The armies are Nighthaunt, 4 Mineral Banshees, Dreadblade, Harrow, Briar Queen, and Thorns of the Briar Queen, and 10 Dreadscythe Harridans. So we're getting quite a few models on the table now, which is really nice. And the Stormcast Eternals, much fewer models. Avalon Stormshire's Cursebreakers, and 5 Sequitors. Standard setup in that you're setting up in lengthways in the Stormcast territory and the Nighthaunt's territory. The Stormcast territory being the bit of the map that's covered in lightning. If you've got the map, you can look at that. And obviously the Nighthaunt's being the bit of the map that's covered in mist and skulls. Let's have a look. Yep, and it's noting that the printed terrain has no effect. You can move over it freely. Players can alternate setting up units one at a time, starting with the Nighthaunt player. Nighthaunts must be wholly set up within their territory. Stormcast must be wholly set up within their territory, which is a little compressed at the moment. I'm sure when we get to using the two previous maps we got together, that's going to get bigger. And the Nighthaunt player has the first turn in the battle round, following the instructions sheet 1 on Battle Plans A, which we got a few copies back, a few magazines back. And this is another one which is being played to total annihilation. The game ends when one player has no models left on the battlefield. Let's have a look. Next week, right, we get into the back page, which is a bit a lot of people actually quite enjoy. Next week, we're getting the Spirit Hosts, which is going to be quite cool for my little girl who's collecting the Spirit Hosts. And that's issue 28. And issue 28 is going to cover the Spirit Hosts, obviously. The Nighthaunt Army painting guide, so you're going to get some more stuff to help you continue painting your Nighthaunts. Although, frankly, I'm finding a lot of the stuff they're saying to paint, you can just go without and leave them kind of green. The new War Scrolls and Battle Plan. With issue 29, we're getting Nuln Oil and Baneblade Brown, which are two quite nice paints. So you can't have enough of Nuln Oil. That stuff's skill in a bowl. And Baneblade Brown is kind of a nice light kind of chocolate milkshake colour. If you ever go to McDonald's and get the kind of the ice cream chocolate milkshakes where they're a relatively sort of pale brown. The two of them combined together create a great mud effect, or if you combine it with Rokeland Flesh Shade, it also gives you a very nice muddy effect, which is useful for basing. And on issue 29, we're learning about the God King Sigma. We've got Nuln Oil and Baneblade Brown paints, obviously, I just said that, and Stormcast Eternals painting guide. So there's some more stuff there to help you get your Stormcast Eternals up to scratch. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you guys. Oh, sorry. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you guys next week for the review of issue 28. Thanks very much, guys. Bye.